Now that we've gone over the title, the thesis, beginnings and endings, all in the abstract, let's start evaluating them in essays, which is where I think these things finally make sense. So, we're going to begin with The Myth of the Latin Woman, I Just Met a Girl Named Maria by Judith Ortiz Cofer. This essay is one of the essays that is included in your readings for this week, and it's also linked in your learning materials. I'm going to have quotes from it here, but you should read the whole thing to understand this evaluation. So first of all, the title. That's a pretty hefty title, The Myth of the Latin Woman. I Just Met a Girl Named Maria. Now the final part, the subtitle, as it were, right here, I Just Met a Girl Named Maria, is a reference to the lyrics of the songs from West Side Story, which is a New York Broadway musical about a Hispanic woman and a European American man and their sort of forbidden romance, which is a replay of Romeo and Juliet and ends very tragically, reflecting on racism and discrimination as well as gang warfare in the United States. So it's a very popular musical. It's also a text that's often read in high schools. And this reference here would then have cultural cachet or meaning for anyone who knows that story. But what about the beginning, the myth of the Latin woman? Well, for me, that's an intriguing topic. As someone who deals with cultural studies and gender studies, as well as folklore and mythology. So all of those are things that are going to attract my interest. But they don't just draw me in, they actually do reflect the overall idea of what Cofer's trying to say, which is that when she is seen, particularly in Great Britain, people have an idea of what it means to be a Latin woman that does not reflect on her personally, and the way she fits into or negotiates these stereotypes and these generalizations is what the essay argues. So that title reflects that without being too bland, talking about stereotypes in Great Britain. That is not as intriguing as The Myth of the Latin Woman, but they both reflect that same topic. So, title, that works. Then the beginning. How does this essay open? Cofer is describing a personal experience. So if you remember from suggestions on beginning, or a good lead-in to anchor the reader, it includes using a relevant personal experience that then leads up to the thesis. So on this bus trip, a man starts singing the rendition of Maria from West Side Story, which is then a reference to this I Just Met a Girl Named Maria, and sings it to Ms. Cofer as she is riding. And she then talks about her, she says, I don't think he meant this in a bad way. In fact, he probably meant it as a compliment. And the other passengers are applauding because he has such a nice voice. However, the experience for her is embarrassing, and it's also a reflection of cultural ideas about her, that she is a symbol of all Latin women to not only the singer, but everyone on the bus who is applauding this association between her and the tragic character of Maria. So she then concludes with this thesis. But Maria had followed me to London, reminding me of a prime fact of my life. You can leave behind the island, which is Puerto Rico, master the English language, and travel as far as you can. But if you are a Latina, especially one like me, who is so obviously belonging to Rita Moreno's gene pool, the island travels with you. So that personal experience makes a perfect connection with the thesis, which is about the way she is defined by her heritage and by stereotypes or cultural icons that are related to her heritage, rather than her own personal achievements or her own personal activities.